Maya stood before the mirror in her cramped bedroom, tracing the curve of her cheekbone. At 22, she was striking, deep, mahogany skin that glowed under the cheap yellow bulb, and eyes that held a sharp, knowing glint. She was the kind of beauty that made people in Baltimore turn their heads, and Maya had learned early on that her face was a currency she could spend to avoid the consequences of her choices. Her apartment on North Avenue always smelled faintly of old coffee and her mother's cooking. Lena, a woman whose face was etched with the weariness of double shifts and broken promises, sat at the kitchen table. "You're going out again?" Lena asked, her voice low, strained. "It's a Tuesday, Maya. You haven't helped with the bills in weeks." Maya didn't even look back. She adjusted her hoops, her expression hardening into the same mask she'd worn since she was 16. Back then, rebellion had been her primary language. She had treated Lena's pleas for responsibility like background noise, using her beauty to charm store clerks, slide past bouncers, or manipulate friends into giving her whatever she lacked: money, clothes, status. She had been the girl who could smile her way out of a suspension or a lecture, provided she didn't care whose feelings she trampled along the way. "I'm working on something," Maya lied, the words rolling off her tongue with practiced ease. She had told herself she was just looking out for number one, that in a city like this, kindness was a luxury she couldn't afford. "Maya, life isn't just about what you can take from it," Lena whispered, looking at her daughter's back. "Eventually, you run out of things to take." Maya grabbed her purse and stepped out into the humid Baltimore air. She moved through the streets with the confidence of someone who had never truly been held accountable. She saw a young man waiting for a bus, his bag heavy, looking overwhelmed. She saw a neighbor struggling with a grocery cart, the wheels jammed on the uneven sidewalk. She walked past them all. Her focus was fixed entirely on the neon lights of the club downtown, on the possibility of a free drink, a new connection, or an easy handout. She smoothed her hair, checked her reflection in a storefront window, and smiled, not at the world, but at the reflection of her own potential, blissfully unaware that her beauty was a mirror that only ever showed her exactly what she wanted to see. The velvet rope at the Onyx parted the moment Maya stepped into the light. The bouncer, a man who usually guarded the entrance like a fortress, softened his glare into a slow, appreciative grin. He didn't even ask for her ID. "Maya," he murmured, ushering her past the line of shivering, frustrated patrons. "You're looking dangerous tonight." She didn't thank him. She simply swished past, her mind already calculating who in the room held the most influence. She found a spot at the bar, ignoring the girl who had been waiting for 10 minutes, and tapped her manicured nail against the wood. The bartender, a guy she'd manipulated for drinks 3 times before, slid a top-shelf cocktail toward her without a word. But the night took a sharp turn when a man in a tailored charcoal suit, someone she didn't recognize, slid onto the stool beside her. He didn't look at her with the usual hunger. He looked at her with clinical interest, like a predator spotting a rival. "You're good at that," he said, his voice smooth and cold. "The way you move, the way you make everyone else feel invisible. It's a talent." Maya stiffened, her vanity momentarily replaced by a flicker of unease. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do," he replied, taking a slow sip of his drink. He leaned in, his voice dropping to a dangerous register. "I've been watching you, Maya. You've been running games on half the business owners in this neighborhood for years. You think you're smart, but you've been stepping on the wrong toes. You've been taking things that belong to people who don't care about your smile." Maya laughed, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. She reached for her drink, but her hand trembled just enough for the glass to clatter against the marble. "Is this a threat?" "It's an observation," he said, standing up and dropping a business card onto the coaster. It wasn't a bank card or a phone number, it was a photo. Maya looked down, and her breath hitched. The photo was of her and Lena taken from inside their kitchen, through the window, just 2 hours ago. In the shot, Lena was crying at the table, unaware she was being watched. "Your mother is a sweet woman," the man said, leaning close to her ear. "It would be a shame if her home became the price you have to pay for your next win. See you tomorrow, Maya. Don't be late." He turned and vanished into the crowd before she could even find her voice. Maya sat frozen, the music pulsing around her like a heartbeat. For the first time in her life, her beauty felt like a target on her back, and the city she thought she had conquered suddenly felt very, very small. Thank you for watching.